what we see in Africa, well, in digital Africa, what we do is our vision is that it's very important to, in order to foster inclusive development, to work with digital innovation made in Africa and from Africa. So I cannot agree more with Yannick when he was saying that there's lots of inspiration to find in Africa, and the way African entrepreneurs, because we are working with tech entrepreneurs in digital Africa, the way we can be inspired by them, by the fact that they would have very naturally, they would develop a learning approach where it's peer-based approach and it's problem solve and it's very grounded approach. I don't want to be too long on what we're doing, but what we're trying to do is, what we see is we're trying to build an ecosystem in order to enable tech entrepreneurs and equip African tech entrepreneurs with everything they need in order to scale up, because we are convinced that what is created here in the continent can inspire the world. So we want to equip them and then connect them to other ecosystems. Why are we working on a holistic approach and ecosystem? Because when it comes to entrepreneurship, you need ideas, you need skills, you need funds, and you definitely need an ecosystem and regulatory scheme that is favorable to your activities. So I agree with Valérie when she said that when we're talking about ecosystem, it needs that we have different stakeholders. And for us, the key is building trust. Because of course, on our hand, when what we do is we really focus on the needs of the entrepreneurs and how can these entrepreneurs can scale up their ideas and businesses and have a real effect on the real economy, because we really want the entrepreneurs that we support to have an impact on the real economy, so to be really grounded on the real life and real issues. And what we see is between entrepreneurs, investors, or regulatory authorities, we need to build somehow a common language. So Kate, you were talking about all the referentials and all the things that you are putting into place. For us, the key is sharing the same kind of languages and understand the needs and expectations of all stakeholders in order to be able to build trust and get a kind of a scheme that is understandable and reachable by everyone. So for us, it's really key and doing this, what we're trying to do is be as transparent as possible. So we are working, for example, we have a program named Digital Skills for Africa. The idea of this program is to, we see that startups lack and find, they experience roadblocks in hiring and finding the right skills to be able to scale up their businesses. So what we want to do is we are building a skill scheme based on the needs expressed by the entrepreneurs. So we see what skills are needed in order to, so it's the skills of the future in a way, because it's a tech, they are tech entrepreneurs, but the idea is to have a clear, it's tech, but it's not only tech, it's also business-like or soft skills. So what exactly do you need to be able to achieve your scale up and have your business growing so that it can have a real effect on the economy, and then make sure that this schemes is linked to what exists in terms of educational capacities. So link it with and make a partnership with training providers and provide scholarships to learners, and then make sure that these people that are trained in learning providers can be hired in the startups. So make sure that we have a circle approach and that we don't lose anyone on the cycle, and that make sure that we have the trust, have the same language, and that we share the same objectives, that we agree on the objectives that we are trying to jointly fulfill. And I shared with you a study that we had just when I was at AD, so that was my previous life, but still we were contributors at Digital Africa. We made, and I thank Eloise and Yannick because they were part of the study. Thank you for that. And I totally agree with what Eloise was saying, because we had with partners, we conduct a study to try and understand. In Africa, we were seeing that these learning ecosystems were blooming. And our feeling, our intuition is that there were lots of initiatives blooming without knowing that they were learning ecosystems. So that's why I really appreciate the testimony of Eloise, because it's really what happens is that what we see is that there's a lot of inspiration in Africa. And thank you, Yannick, again, because for me, you demonstrate this very strongly. The fact that because it's problem solved, it's less like in theory, it's something that is alive and that is living and it's experiencing. That's what we see. And we want to understand what was going on in the continent and if they were like a typology or if there is something that is, and most of the time it's done without knowing. So you don't really have a method, you don't really have a way to go. And the idea is, how do we scale massively this kind of initiatives? Because we see that it's a trend, it's something that is really here to stay. And the schools are taking, and the COVID has had an impact on this, of course, because the schools had to find other ways to get the students on board. And I'm going to finish on this, but what I find interesting is at the beginning, the study was not named Learning Ecosystem in Africa, Understanding Learning Ecosystem in Africa. It was more like, how do we create learning territories? And the terminology ecosystem was like jointly adopted by the different stakeholders that we studied, because they said what we want to create is ecosystem. So what we want to be inclusive. So we want to work on objective that we want to fulfill together. So let's be clear on the mission, on the vision, on the objective that we want to achieve, and then we'll find the how. So the important thing is agreeing on the why. Why are we doing this? How do we share the same purpose? And then how do we bring up a method that is very locally efficient? So it has to be rooted in local practice, methods and habits in a way. And then so that's what I find very interesting, is to see that the fact that you have to agree on the objective, build trust, and the trust is everything, because if you agree on the mission and the trust, then you know that you're going to make some mistakes, or sometimes it's going to be difficult, because we know it's a journey, so it won't be like an easy one. But still, if you have the same purpose at heart, then it becomes doable. The how, you will find the how. On our view, the key point is alignment, is transparency. So, and again, is agreeing on the mission, on the purpose, and then it's ethics in the way that, you share the same purpose, and then you have to have a perfect alignment on what you say that you want to do and what you're actually doing. So for me, it's key. It's really having working on this alignment. I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm saying that rules are fine, and yes, we need rules if we want to scale up. But we know that rules are here to be changed, because when you practice, and rules are very difficult to change. But if you agree on the purpose and the ethics, that's what we see. Then and again, like creating spaces, to everything has to be said, and again, for me, it's really alignment. That's what we see is every decision or every rule has to serve the purpose, or it's not a efficient rule, so it doesn't have to stay, it doesn't have to stand, and it's okay to be mistaken, but it's not okay to be disaligned. I think that's what we see is really working on this alignment.